Today is one of those days where I've got a bunch of things to do and I'm not really sure which direction the day is going to go. But I do know that the first thing I need to do is get these cows moved. That's what's going on today on Farmer Tyler Ranch. Got all my gates set and all my wires turned on, so this should go pretty smoothly. The only sort of hiccup or speed bump that I might encounter here is I have to walk the cattle through this small pasture. Normally that wouldn't be a big deal, but right now it is almost entirely clover, and I don't want them to get hung up and start eating too much of that because I'm worried that one of them might bloat. So I've got to try to push them through here without letting them stop to eat too much, so I can get them back out here in the pasture where I want them. If they stop and eat a little bit of that clover, that's no big deal. I mean, clover is part of my pasture mix after all, but I just don't want them to gorge on it. That's when you can have some problems. So I think what I'm probably gonna have to end up doing in this field is mowing it and letting it dry and essentially making like a little hay crop for them to eat out there. If I send them in there with most of that mowed off on full stomachs, then they should be able to graze it no problem, but that's not really gonna work out today. Well, they're down there crying, so we better go get some gates open and get them down here. Well, I see I've got a mud issue at this gate again. I guess this is just gonna be a yearly thing that I need to do, is put some dirt here. But they're hungry enough and they're ready to move, so I don't think the mud will slow them down. The cows will be fine. The calves, they might take a second look at this before they want to walk through it. That went really well, all except for one. There's always got to be one. Why couldn't you just go? Everyone else went. It's just mud, dude. No. Go the right way. Please. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Now, of course, since I've been messing around with that calf, everyone's stopped to eat clover. So we're gonna get in side by side and urge them a little bit to go through that gate. Man, I knew they'd be tough, but I didn't think they'd give me that much trouble. They figured it out now, though. I've spent most of the afternoon working on a little welding side job that I had, and now I've got that done. I have to go deliver it, and where I have to go to deliver it just happens to be right near the same place that I need to go to get some more net wrap for this baler. So we're gonna go drop this off, get some net wrap, get this thing loaded up and tie up the last few loose ends with this thing, and I'm hoping to get it moved over to the field today. So me and Callie are gonna get to spend a little bit of time in the air conditioner, and I think we're both okay with that. It is such a busy time of year right now for everybody, and I actually kind of get caught in a trap of really not leaving the house too much. So when I do kind of get away from the ranch, it's always interesting to see what all is going on in the area around me. Right now, the rice farmers are going gangbusters, hay growers are going hard, everybody is so busy. In fact, this morning when I moved the cows, I wanted to get the drone up and get some shots of them moving with the drone. But the reason that I didn't do that is because there's so many crop dusters flying around me right now that I didn't want to have the drone up in the air and risk there being some sort of an accident. That would have been really bad. When the planes settle down, we'll get some drone shots of the cows moving, but now is just not the good time. I'm sure that a lot of people are gonna ask what all the water is out the window, and I know some of you guys know, but if you don't know, those are rice fields. So the way rice is planted, the seed is dropped into standing water with a crop duster. So like before when I was talking about how there's a lot of crop dusters in the air right now, it's because they're all planting rice. That might look like a ton of water, and I mean, I guess it is, but those fields are laser leveled, and that water is probably only a couple of inches deep across the whole field. Dinner's over, let's head out to the hayfield. It's about 6:45 right now, and that is a good time to check hay. You always want to check hay towards the later part of the day. You don't want to have any sort of dew or moisture like that being a factor in what you're feeling. I want to feel these windrows when they're as dry as they can possibly be. What I'm looking for are these little, what I call knuckles. It's like the joint in the stems. And when I bend those, I want to feel those pop, just like a dry twig. If it folds over and bends but doesn't break, then the hay's not quite ready yet. All the hay that I tested in this spot of this windrow snapped and broke really well. So obviously, one little part of the field isn't going to tell the whole story. I'm going to go around and test a few different spots. And I'll try to basically go find the heaviest, thickest windrows that I know that I have and test it there. This right here is one of the reasons why I like to be the guy that cuts the field, and I like to be the guy that bales the field, because when I'm coming around out here checking the hay to see if it's ready to bale, I kind of remember from when I cut it where my heavy spots are, where my potentially wet spots could be, and I feel like I can just get a better idea of where the field's at because I am the one that cut it. This is a good example down here in this corner. I remembered that I had a few heavy rows, so I'm going to check it here too. Well, this heavy windrow out here in the corner looks to be cured to me. When I say cured, that's just, I guess, another way of saying ready to bale. But I know that when I cut the field, I started at this side and I worked that way. So in theory, the hay that's cut over here almost has a whole extra day of dry down time. So I think the thing to do now is to go over about to where I finished this field and check the hay there. Now, truth be told, if I get over here and this hay isn't cured yet, that's not going to stop me from starting tomorrow because, I mean, let's be honest. If I start baling all the way over there, I'm not going to get this far in one day. So even if this isn't quite done here yet, by the time I get to it, it probably will be. I check it though, I just like to know where it's at and kind of have an idea what I'm dealing with. Okay, so here's an example of what would be not cured. If you see that, I mean, just by looking at it, I can tell that that's wet, but when I bend it, it just folds. It doesn't snap. So this is a little bit heavier stem on the bottom of the windrow. This is definitely not cured yet here. If you just have one stem out of many that's not cured, that's not a huge deal. So we'll keep poking around out here and see what we got. So just for the sake of comparison, I checked this row that was part of my opening pass. So this would have been like the first swath that I took for the day. And then just a few feet over in the actual field, this is what I would have done at the end of the day. So I've got this hay here that, you know, was cut basically 10 hours apart. And there's a pretty significant difference in how much it's cured. Whereas I showed you over here, we had soft knuckles still in the stems and the hay wasn't quite cured. What I have here on my headland pass is cured and ready to go. So it just goes to show you what a difference one day of drying makes. After looking around out here a fair amount, I feel pretty confident that we're ready to go. Definitely on the half of the field where the rows were a little bit lighter. I'll start over there, and by the time I get over here into these heavy rows, they should be ready to go as well. So that means I need to get the baler moved over here. I need to finish up my last few little things that I wanted to do to it, and I'll have to get it hooked up to the tractor, turn the monitor on, make sure everything's working and we're ready to go. But I think that is gonna have to wait for the next video. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.